Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and yes, I'm not a liar, as the title says. I've played Splatoon 3, and I guarantee at some point in this video, I will call it Splatoon 2. As is once again becoming increasingly standard, Nintendo UK invited me to their offices to play Splatoon 3 before it was released, and I'm gonna tell you what I thought of it. It's pretty much all there in the title. I've done quite a few of these over the past 7 years. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Okay, so yes, I played Splatoon 3. I played it for, I would say, a little bit over an hour overall. I couldn't capture an hour's worth because there was setup in between and stuff like that, and there are various things that I can't show, but I got to play it for that length of time. Roughly. I did 3 single-player missions, I did 2 rounds of Turf War, and I did, I think was it 3 rounds of Salmon Run? But 2 of those were in handheld mode, so because they wanted to show off on the OLED, and so I've only got 1 of those recorded. So let's go through it in chronological order. That seems to make the most sense in my mind. So I started off with the single player, and yeah, I've got to say, you know, sort of the initial reveal, they were sort of like in a desert and stuff. You had the Inkling and you had the Small Fry, and the Small Fry is present, don't worry about that. But they were sort of walking around. It's not like that, unfortunately. It is pretty much the same as the previous games. You have like a hub world, and you have a sort of an area that you wander around in, an overworld, and you go to different levels, and you do these sort of like standalone things. And even though I did have fun with those levels, they were good, they were well designed, they were beautiful, they were enjoyable, I can't help but feel a tiny bit disappointed that it is still so closed off and it's so like the previous 2. I still definitely enjoyed what I played, you know, and in terms of that formula, it was really, really good. Probably, maybe the best I've played yet. I mean, Octo Expansion was good, and it's clearly taking a lot of notes from Octo Expansion, but it's the same thing that we've played, well, not even twice before, because with Octo Expansion, 3 times previously. So this will be the 4th time we've gone through this kind of single-player campaign, and it is still fun, but when they did the initial reveal, I was really hoping for something a little bit more adventurous. One thing that they have definitely improved upon, and I sadly can't show you, is the overworld, and it's still not open and all that, but it's still, for what it is, let's focus on what it is, and it is very, very good. There's a lot more to do in the overworld now. There's a lot of things to find, a lot of little things that you can use with Small Fry, and actually having a use for the power eggs, or whatever the hell they're called, the standard things you pick up all the time. I've never really known what they're called. It's never come up for me. It is power eggs. You have this ooze that's around and about. I'm fairly certain it's been in a trailer, so I'll probably cut some footage in if I can. If not, oh, it's still my face. And then you use Small Fry, you use him kind of like a special, as it were. You just throw him like a grenade, actually. It's really cool. But you use him like a special. You click the right stick in, and then you throw him. And if you've got enough power eggs, you power up your little your little Small Fry, and then he eats like these like nodes that are on top of the ooze, and then the ooze then dies, and you can progress. And if you touch the ooze, you turn into a mammal. And that's not a joke. There's also other things that you can just find in the overworld, dig them up with Small Fry, or just, you know, sort of blast them yourself. There's definitely more going on. There's still like the balloons and stuff like in Splatoon 2, and there's more going on than in Octo Expansion. There is more going on. It is better than Splatoon 2, but I was really hoping for something a bit more dramatic. As for the levels themselves, yeah, they're really good. You'll have been seeing footage of it this entire time. They're relatively quick and snappy if you're experienced with the game like I am, and they're good fun. I also got to try some of the new weapons out, but I'll save that for the next section that I'm literally going to go on to now. So after that, I played some Turf War, and I did it in the LAN system. There were 8 of us there, including some Nintendo reps, and we played Turf War. And I got to use, I only got to do 2 rounds. So I used the Stringer one time, and I used the Splatana, the Wiper, the second time. And because I thought, well, they're new weapons, I might as well use them. And Yeah, I'm gonna say they're pretty good. The stringer is really unusual. It's the tri-stringer that I use, as you can probably tell from the footage. And it actually has 2 charge levels. One charge level, I don't know if it's more powerful if you fully charge it. I think it is, but I would have to review the numbers, which I don't have. But if you partially charge it, so you do 1 loop round, you can then release the charge shots that then explode, you know, after a set period of time. We've all seen them before. And that's pretty cool and does sort of like a standard wide arc. But if you fully charge it, it narrows the arc tremendously and acts a little bit more like a sniper rifle. It's not an instant kill. At least I don't think it is. Maybe there are some instances where it can be, but even so, it's definitely much more powerful and it becomes much more ranged. So you've got this kind of like spread shot, which is great for covering and like putting pressure on people mid-range. And then you've got this long-range one, which is better for kind of sniping. It's definitely got more range than something like a squiffer, but I wouldn't say it's, you know, as good as like a proper sniper, certainly not like the E-liter or anything like that, which makes sense. You can also choose whether you're doing a horizontal spread or a vertical spread, depending on whether you're in the air. If you're in the air, it's vertical, and if you're not, if you're just on the ground, it's horizontal, which means it's a really versatile weapon, but if someone gets up close to you, trust me, you are dead. It's got this great mid-range, it's got this pretty decent long range as well, so it's really versatile, and the whole thing, you know, in coverage, you can do wide areas, and you can do tall things if you want to quickly get up the side of a wall or something like that. But when it comes down to, like, close range, yeah, forget about it. Like, the rapid fire notion of it isn't very good, and it's got the wide spread and everything, unless you fully charge, which takes time. Yeah, in close range, it's no dice, at least from what I told. Maybe somebody will get the game and then they'll be like, oh, all you need to do is shoot down on the ground or something like that. I don't know. I only had 1 round to give it a go in, and the single player thing, which that was good fun. But the takeaway here, the stringer, at least the tri-stringer, I like it. It's a good addition. More importantly, it doesn't feel like any of the other weapons. I can't say precisely the same thing for the Splatana. It definitely feels like it's within the same kind of area as the, it's like the ink brush or the octo brush. And the roller, it's not surprising. It's kind of within that same sort of field. And I would describe it as... it is a stealth weapon. It's really weird. I mean, you don't have to use it as a stealth weapon. It's got the ranged attack, which is pretty good. It doesn't do a huge amount of damage, and it's quite slow, unsurprisingly. But, you know, it's okay. You know, it's a good sort of like, get away from me kind of thing. So if you're caught in a difficult situation or you want to defend something, it's useful. It's not amazing, but it's useful. And then you got the charge strike as well, which is better for... again, it's kind of similar to the tri-stringer, but on a much shorter range, and slightly larger projectile overall. But all things considered, the main, like, killer feature of it, and some people are going to hate this, is camping. It really is. You know, sort of you can hide around a corner with a fully charged charge. Someone comes around the corner and you're close enough. Wabow! That's an instant kill. It's not easy to pull off, at least it wasn't for me. I didn't get a lot of chance to practice with it, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't like ultra reliable. It's the range isn't great on it, which is good, don't get me wrong, otherwise it would be completely broken, but it's definitely, as a surprise attack, yeah, it's kind of frightening. And I can see a lot of people just, yeah, as I say, hiding behind corners, and maybe, oh, there's an objective there or something like that. And wabow, I think it's gonna cause a lot of people to start using their sub-weapons more to make sure that there's no one just hiding around the corner. I know you kind of do that anyway, but even more so. But I liked it. Again, it felt versatile, but not overpowered. I have a feeling that I need to spend a lot more time with it in order to be effective, because I wasn't that great in the the games that I played. But again, I only had one round with it. So as for general feelings about Turf War, I enjoyed it. I don't know this for a fact. It's just a feeling, and I haven't really been able to accurately compare because I've only got the footage that I've got rather than actually having access to the game itself. But the maps do feel a bit bigger they feel a bit bigger, and at the same time, they feel more open, but with fewer, like, vantage points for snipers. It's really weird. It may well be just the levels I played, but even then, it definitely felt different. And I've got to be honest, it was subtle, but it felt quite a bit better. It's really weird to say, and at the end of the day, you know, there are going to be previous maps from Splatoon 2, and presumably Splatoon in there as well, but I don't know whether it's just a lot of small changes under the surface, and there's the special moves as well, but it just felt a bit more, a bit smoother, a bit fairer, a bit less kind of like back and forth. It's really hard to explain, but I would say that overall the feel of the game is a little bit more balanced. Again, that is a claim that I can't make right now, but that's my gut feeling. In the two maps that I played, at the very least, it did not feel like there was going to be one weapon that absolutely dominated. It seemed like for every area where one weapon like the aerospray or something would absolutely decimate, there was another area where it would be really hampered. So the levels just feel a little bit more balanced overall. It's going to be interesting to see if they change the Splatoon 2 levels as well, and hopefully the Splatoon levels. When is Salt Spray Rig coming back? I think part of it may well be that it feels a lot more narrow. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the levels aren't actually narrow, but I think the way that they're constructed makes them a little bit more narrow. It means that you can still flank people, absolutely, but you're not going to be in a turf war, like, just, you know, surrounded by people. People aren't going to be everywhere. There's going to be a bit more kind of like push and pull back. At least that's what I felt. It could be due to so many different factors. You know, the people I was playing with, the fact that we were all using new weapons, perhaps. There are so many different factors that could come into that. But that's what I experienced, and that's what I want to tell you. The two new moves, the Squid Surge and the Squid Roll, nowhere near as broken as I thought they were going to be. Like, the Squid Roll will only work. It's kind of like the easiest way to describe it in terms of its inputs, because I just thought, oh, it's just like jumping. It's not. You have to be in squid form, and you have to be going in one direction, we'll say forward, for argument's sake, and then you have to pull the opposite direction and jump at the same time. If you've played Super Mario 64, it's the same input as the side flip, or at least it's extremely close to it. This means that defense-wise, you have to actually retreat from the direction that you're moving. So you can't, you know, be going forward and then, oh, I'm going to go sideways and I'm going to get some invulnerability frames. It doesn't work. You have to be going in the opposite direction. So I think it's mainly a balancing thing, you know, sort of if you're swimming through the ink and somebody then suddenly pops out and starts shooting at you, you can quickly jump back and it gives you a bit more of a chance rather than just being absolutely decimated, which at least for me happened all the bloody time in Splatoon 2. And the Squid Surge, I mean, I can see it being useful. I wasn't able to actually apply it very well. I didn't really get my head around it in the short time that I played. But it seems okay. Certainly not a bad addition, and I'm certain if there's somebody up top, it gives you a way to get up there nice and quickly without being, like, immediately shot. Again, it's a defensive option. Well, I suppose actually I'd say the Squid Surge is more of an offensive option, and the Squid Roll is more of a defensive option. Maybe. I'm not the man who makes the meta. All in all, Turf War does not feel dramatically different, and, you know, that's a good thing at the end of the day. If it was dramatically different, it wouldn't be Splatoon at the end of the day. But I do think that the small changes that they've made are myriad. Like, there's a lot. And I mean, I'll go on to it now. Visually, yeah, the game looks bloody gorgeous. I know there's sort of suggestions that they're going to be using some sort of, like, super resolution thing? I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, the AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution 1.0. Super catchy. Now, obviously, I can't compare that to, like, with it running and without, because I've only played the game, presumably with it on. As far as I'm aware, we don't actually know for certain that it is running it, but it looks good. It looks better than what you'll be seeing, obviously, on YouTube, and even what I've got in my footage, because, you know, it always gets compressed every time. And I think overall the biggest thing is that the ink looks even better. Like, I thought the ink in Splatoon 1 looked great. And then we got Splatoon 2 and it was like, wow, it's 1080p. And it's like, oh, it's got all these edges. And, you know, it looks like it's real ink right there. And Splatoon 3 is just taking that even further. Like, it's not like, whoa, it's like real life. It's still obviously cartoony, as you can see. But it just feels like the ink has all these natural edges. It looks like it's actually raised from the ground. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think it is. I think it's just a visual trick. Kind of like, I mean, I fall back on this every time I talk about this sort of thing, but bump mapping. It's probably not bump mapping. It's probably something way better than that, but it looks really good. It looks really good. Everything looks super crisp. I've like zoomed in on gameplay screens and stuff like that, and it is running at 1080p. At least for the times that the stills that I've looked at, which I tried to look at busy scenes, and it is absolutely 1080p. Not a huge amount of anti-aliasing going on, but the footage, the gameplay is so fast, so rapid. I don't notice it. Like, you can see it in stills, but in motion, can't tell at all. And then I finished up with Salmon Run, and Salmon Run is very much like the other two things. It's a lot more of the same, but they've refined and improved a lot of different aspects. I only got to play on one map, unfortunately, but the most important thing I did get to experience, throwing eggs. It's about bloody time, but they've implemented it in a way that I'm actually really pleased with, even though it arguably makes things not as easy. If you've got a golden egg, you can throw it at any time. You can throw it in any way. You see the arc and everything. But it costs as much as using a sub-weapon. So you can't just like go throw, run, throw, run, throw. I mean, you probably could, you know, going through the ink would probably get you just enough if you threw it just far enough. But even so, you know, it's not like a free throw. It's not like Clam Blitz where you just go blah, 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 blah. You throw it and you have to have enough ink, which means if you've got salmonids coming around you, then you're gonna have to make a decision. Are you gonna throw the egg to safety, maybe hoping one of your teammates gets it? Or are you going to hold on to it and make sure that it's not gonna be taken away by one of the snatchers? Are they called snatchers? The nasty buggers that come down. Oh, I've given it away. They fly now. Yeah, the salmonids that come and steal golden eggs that are unattended, they come down from the sky now. I don't know whether they come out from the ocean. I didn't get a chance to see, but they don't have to go all the way up, you know, and nice and slowly. They just come down and they take that thing and they take it fast. So it's kind of a trade-off. You can throw the eggs now and you can make them much, you know, much closer to the goal and everything, but you know, the enemy can get them a lot easier. It's a fun trade-off. I really like it. It makes the game feel a bit more frantic and a little bit more strategic in areas, but without making it super easy. It's very, very well implemented. As for the rest of Salmon Run, unfortunately I didn't get to do the extra wave. I think it's just random and it didn't come up, or maybe it's not available in the build I played. I don't know. You know, they turned it off for reasons so that I can't have fun. But the new map was good. I only got to play on 10%, which is like baby for me, no offense. But I've been playing professional for months. Well, I've been professional since the game pretty much came out. Not to toot my own horn, but you go in with an expectation and then you hear a horn and it's like letting you know there's a boss salmonid coming, and it's like, oh, it's just one boss salmonid, and whether it's a steel eel or one of the new guys. Where's the tower thing? That was pretty fun. I didn't expect the towers to remain, but they do. You know, you defeat the salmonids that are spinning around on the top, and then the towers stay there, I think, until the end of the wave, and then they just disappear somehow. I also got to fight the hoopy thing. Hoopy, this thing. It was okay. I'm not really sure what it's doing. Like the tower one, at least, it adds a new structure, you know. It changes the landscape, not in any huge dramatic way, but it gives you a potential vantage point. That's cool. This hoop one, though, I don't know. It didn't really do much for me. I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's necessarily bringing anything new. It feels like, I've just realized I never really remember the names of the actual boss salmonids, because my friends and I would give them all funny names. Except Moors. So it kind of feels like it's halfway between a Moors and Umbrella. I don't know what it's called. Sprinkler? The Rainmakey boy. This boy. It just feels like it's halfway between the two, and it doesn't really feel like it's doing either of their jobs as well. I don't know. It wasn't really doing anything for me, but it's also not like it's not bad. It's just there. And as for Salmon Run, that's all I've got to really say. You know, sort of, it feels good. It feels like a big improvement. It definitely feels like they've taken the original Salmon Run and they have upped it. But again, it's the whole thing with Splatoon 3. It's evolutionary, but it's not revolutionary. That one stupid joke was the one reason I recorded this now instead of later. There are so many changes in Splatoon 3 compared to Splatoon 2, but it feels very much like the same thing that we got with Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2. I would say that it's maybe a slightly less obviously dramatic change. I would say that maybe overall Splatoon 3 feels like a bigger upgrade than Splatoon 2 did to Splatoon 1, but it's been in development presumably for a fair bit longer. There's a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes here, but they are nearly all very small. Very small, and they add up. Don't get me wrong, they do add up. But from the outside looking in, you know, at an initial glance, you may well be wondering, well, is this worth, you know, the upgrade? Is it worth paying for compared to Splatoon 2? And right now, I would still say that it is. I would, but I would be lying if I said that I wasn't a little bit disappointed that they didn't do something bigger with it, something grander, like the single player having some sort of, like, you know, larger overworld that you roam around in, and, you know, I'm not saying Breath of the Wild kind of open world, but, you know, something a bit more substantial rather than the same thing that we've seen time and time again. It feels like a lot more of the same, and it's definitely improved, absolutely, but if you're happy with Splatoon 2, and I mean, I kind of am happy with Splatoon 2, but I always want the new thing. You know, I'm a big Splatoon fan, and I think big Splatoon fans will absolutely get enough out of Splatoon 3, but casual fans, it's gonna be a harder sell, and I'm a bit sad for saying that, to be honest, because I really wanted this to be like, wow, and really shock me, but I went into it and I came out happier about Splatoon 3, not that I was sad about it. You know, I'm excited, I'm really excited for Splatoon 3, but objectively, I have to say, there's, you know, in terms of like revolutionary new content, there's not much here. As I so often say in these previews, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, but right now, what little I've played, it's excited me, but it hasn't blown me away. And yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see whether the full game has more hiding in it. Maybe the single player, I was only in the first world, maybe the single player really ramps up and there's loads of new, cool, shiny stuff, but in terms of what we're seeing right now, it's evolutionary. Not revolutionary. But there you have it. What are your thoughts on Splatoon 3 from what you've seen? Let us know with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you revolve towards that subscribe button? And be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.